Hello, New Mexico, and welcome to another episode of Around the Roundhouse, a podcast featuring the policies, politics, and, you guessed it, personalities of the land of enchantment. From our state capital here in Santa Fe to every corner of the state. My name is Daniel Chacon, and I'm the State House reporter for the Santa Fe New Mexican. In this week's episode, we're concluding our series of fun, entertaining, and informative interviews with Santa Fe's 8 mayoral candidates ahead of the November 4th election. Our guest is Letitia Montoya, a 17th generation Santa Fean who serves as Chief Operations Officer at Nebula Advisers LLC, which is a Santa Fe-based project development and management firm owned by Ms. Montoya and her husband. Letitia, so nice to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. It's an honor.
Oh, thank you so much. I wanted to ask you that, with early voting already underway, what's your game plan for this final stretch of the campaign and election season here in Santa Fe?
Well, it's a lot of door to door. I'm going to do some phone banking and text messaging. I'm not going to do mail outs because mail outs to me are one that you get it and just throw it in the garbage, and I don't want to waste the tree. So I'm going to do alternative than mailing anybody a partial. So they're either going to get a knock on the door, or they're going to get a phone call, or they're going to get a text message.
Okay. At this stage of the campaign, are you satisfied or confident with the amount of money that you've raised, the number of doors that you've knocked on, the number of voters that you've talked to? Do you feel that you're at a point where you could win the mayor's race?
I really am. And the reason for that is I started 4 years ago. And I started building my base then when I first got my first contract with the city. And I'll pretty much say I didn't know I was going to run for mayor until I just noticed how bad the problems were getting and nothing was being solved year to year to year. So so as I decided that I was going to run for mayor, I started handing out business cards, telling people. So I've probably put out about 15,000 pieces of literature from the day I started up until today, and we're going to try to hit another probably 9,000 houses
By knocking on doors?
by knocking on doors, calling, reaching out and touching people, going to events, anything I can do. Because like there was a big cheerleading competition with the little kids, like in elementary, and it happened on Sunday. There was over maybe a couple thousand people at St. Mike's gym, and it was really great to be around really like motivated parents, children, and I was the only candidate that was there. So I go to things that I know that are important to me, and our children are so important. So you'll see me at baseball games, basketball games, football games, any game that relates to a child, because I like to engage with them because they are our future.
Awesome. You had mentioned briefly the contract that you have with the city. And for listeners and viewers who may not understand the specifics of that, will you help us understand? It's a contract to basically pick up shopping carts that have been abandoned in the city. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes. And what it is it's we get work orders. So it's work orders that have like where the problem's at, and we go and fix it. And then but let me tell you, when we first started on this project for the shopping carts, we I'd like to take you back a few years. Is that my husband and I owned a company named Assure Financial Group, and we did stocks, bonds, mutual funds. So I was within the financial world, so I understand it. And so we retired young, and we sold our company to Wachovia, and then Wachovia sold it to Wells Fargo. But as the contract that we were obligated to stay with them for 5 years in order to transfer our clients over. So then when we retired, we were like all excited and happy to live the dream. And my husband got sick. He was exposed to a chemical from the military, and we didn't realize how expensive a sickness can deplete your bank account. And we there for a while because he had to have special treatment, and his VA Medicaid benefits hadn't kicked in yet, because we didn't even start the process until after the fact. So what I had to do is every time he went to the biometric chamber at St. Vincent, since it's a specialty treatment, it's not paid for through the insurance company. So I'd have to write every week $50,000 checks until we had no more money to write out anymore. But at that time, he was pretty much, he's healed, but he'll never get rid of what he has. But the thing about it is that when you hit the bottom of the barrel of not having the resources that you were so used to having, being in the financial world and the money around you, to having nothing, it was a shocker to us because we never thought we would experience almost being homeless. And so anything that saved me was COVID. When COVID came about, that's when I told Mike, I said, we need to come up with a plan to help us to continue on, being stabilized. So we started a company, Nebula Advisors, and actually I got him his certification because we are a certification service disabled veteran-owned small business, and I had to get that through Washington D.C. So I had to get certified to even put that symbol onto our business. And so I mean, I've learned working with people from Washington, working with people through the city of Santa Fe. We landed an international contract with Canada. And the thing about it is that you can rebuild yourself if you have the resources and you have the determination. So when we came out of lockdown from COVID, we started looking at the shopping carts and how many they were everywhere. So I told my husband, Michael, and I was like, you know what? I really wish we'd get that contract because we need one contract in order to make us a valuable business. And so the shopping carts came out and we bid on it and we won it. And it was, I think, a total of like 4 or 5 companies that bid on it. And so we wanted, and then as I started, me and my husband, actually, we were the first 2 employees. So we did the shopping carts, and to understand Santa Fe, these shopping carts made me understand Santa Fe because I'm out and about amongst everybody, from the homeless population to the people that shop at the stores every day, to the people that work at the stores, to the managers. And that was the best thing that I could have ever done because it made me understand what's going on in our community, how people are hurting at different levels, and things that need to be done in order for us to make Santa Fe back running like a fine-tuned car. Because I tell everybody right now, our car is breaking down, and it's just like if it breaks down completely, we're in trouble. We're totally in.
Ms. Montoya, just a quick follow-up on the contract. What is the length of that contract, and what will happen if you are elected mayor?
Okay, so the length of the contract, it was just renewed again, so we have it for another year. And so that way, when it comes to next year, since it's already been reallocated, that next year they'd ask me this question, and yes, I would step down from the contract and put it back out to bid for somebody else to accomplish that task. And it's a very important process that I feel that it made me understand what's going on in our city, which I will always respect it. And everybody to ask me, they're like, will you still pick up shopping carts when you're mayor? And I was like, if I could, I would.
Ms. Montoya, I always struggle to ask folks about their personal finances, but there have been reports that you filed for bankruptcy twice in the last 16 years, including last year, and you alluded to some of the financial challenges that you and your husband has faced due to his medical issues. And I'm just wondering if you think that voters will be concerned, or will that they'll hold your personal financial challenges against you when they go to the polls?
No, I don't think it's an issue because what we're filing is Chapter 13. So we're readjusting our debt in the sense that the only thing that we're worried about is our home. And that's what we've been fighting for, is to keep our home in our city. And so what's happening now is that we've been in our Chapter 13 for the last 2.5 years, 3 years, we've been putting in close to $10,000 a month. So if you calculate that 10,000 times 12, 24, 36 months, almost 3 years. That's a lot of money. So, what the bills that we owed, they have them on hold. We'll pay off all that. And our whole concern is that we're working with Wells Fargo again, and Wells Fargo back in the 2008 year, we're part of that lawsuit where they took advantage of minority people. Where if you wanted to get this interest rate, you had to put all your everything into your loan. So that meant your house, your vehicles, your bills, your student loans. So what do you think that did? Your mortgage was down here. By the time they increased all that stuff, it went from here to here. And they did that to a lot of individuals. And it was just mandated that they have to reimburse us. So that's what we're working on right now, to see what they're going to reimburse us back that we put into that loan. And then before COVID, our house that we owned was at a certain level. And after COVID, they jacked it up to a now horrible amount. I don't know how they got the amount. So now it's in the phase where the court is working with us. So we have to readjust everything that's gone on from when we started working to today, so that we bring down the house to where it really, the real cost of what the house is worth is like 450,000. They want $1 million. So I don't understand how they got from this price to that price. And so that's what we're doing right now, is just working with the courts to come up with an amount, and then they'll free that money that's been sitting in escrow every month, putting $10,000. That'll pay off every debt that we have, and then the rest will go into the actual mortgage.
Okay. But again, the mayor is basically the city's chief executive. And if you have someone who has experienced some financial problems, don't you think that voters will be concerned about that?
Well, you know what? They could be concerned, but the thing about it is the finance department, and I've been looking at that department. That department is in total shambles. If and the things that I'm seeing with even what's going on right now, we should be concerned. And the thing with the financial department is that we have somebody that oversees that department, and they have the expertise, that they know what the billings coming in, and what's for what is it we're oh what and I don't do the billing. So it's like what the revenue we bring in and the revenue we're paying out, is that person is supposed to be the expert on understanding the budget. But then too, with our financial department, if you look at the audits that have been taking place, is that I have a concern now. If they have a concern about me, my concern now is about our financial department there at the city. Are we really running on a good platform or not? And I see that because I'm understanding that with my own chapter 13 on what they're doing with us, and how they're buckling down, and they're looking at every nook and cranny, which I expect them to do. Because like that's what I would say too, also with the finance department in the city of Santa Fe, is I would look at it the same way as what I'm looking at it's going on with me to them. But I don't have any access to touch that money. So that's the safeguard there, is that the person that's in charge of that division does. But on top of that, from my understanding, is that our software, everything's so outdated. They have a piggy bank that they put extra funds, that they have overages, and then they have shortages, they take it out and put it back. So right now, what I'm learning with my chapter 13 is something that I'd like to bring into the city, because I've learned a lot about what they do in order to get us up and going and being back to perfect again. That's the same kind of philosophy I'd like to do with the city of Santa Fe.
Okay. Ms. Montoya, around town, you're sort of known as a perennial candidate after having run for the New Mexico State Senate, Secretary of State, and Santa Fe County Clerk 3 times, but never reaching a general election. What's different with the mayor's race?
It's a nonpartisan race, so there's no control. I'm not controlled by the Democratic Party. See, when I was a young Dem, I got involved in politics way back then. Is that I came to walking down the road, and you had a choice to pick which side of the road you're going to go, to the left or the right. Well, what happened is that I was confronted by a top official, and I was told to do something that I didn't want to do. And I mean, this person had power. And the thing that I told them no, and they gave me a 24-hour period to contact them back to let them know that I was going to do it. And I told them, don't hold your breath, because I'm not going to do it, because it's my morals and it's who what I believe in, and I'm not going to be taken the minute I get into office. And so ever since then, I've been punished and punished. And you never think about it, but people do have a lot of power within our political arena. And if they're mad at you, they could do whatever they like to do to you. And you would wish that it wasn't like that. But now the person's no longer around us, so now I'm free. And on top of that, we're in an open, for me, this is an open primary. Anybody can vote for me. Anybody that believes in me can vote for me. And that's what makes it so great, because you know what? I don't know why we have party lines. Party lines have divided us so bad that if you're not part of my party, I can't vote for you. But I think people are waking up to understand that we need to start looking at the person that we're voting for, not party lines. It's about what you bring to the table for all of us.
Well, what do you bring to the table that's different than your competitors?
Well, I've been working on this for 4 years, and I understand the problems, and I have a plan for every single problem. I even put out my first plan, which it came out on Monday, and I'm putting out another one that'll come out tomorrow about the budget. So what I've done is I've analyzed every single one of those departments, and I've come up with a plan. If they follow the plan for the next, I put it at 30, 50, 75, and 100 years. My plan, if they follow this plan, we will be okay for the next 100 years. And I'm telling, because I started early and I understand the problems, and it's an easy fix. But we need someone that's going to do it and implement their plan.
And where can we see this? Where can voters see this plan or these plans?
I have them on, I've posted everything on Facebook. No, on YouTube. So they're on YouTube, and they're on they're trying to link my campaign and my personal one together. So on Tish's Dishes, it's my what is it, where you have your name, what do they call it back in the day, breaker 19, what is it, your handle?
Your handle, okay.
Tish's Dishes. TISHS and DIH, no, TISHA, yeah, no, Tish's, TISHS and DISHS. That's my handle for that. And I try to post, what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis on my YouTube channel, on my Facebook, on my Instagram, and I do it all. So that's the one thing that makes me different than the other candidates. Everything you see here and I promote is all done by me. I've helped develop my website. I helped doing all that, because I feel in order to know the issues and the problems, you must be amongst the people that are working with you and volunteering. Because I'll tell you right now, we're based on volunteers. Everything that you see that's going on is volunteers. We're powered by volunteers. We're powered by people, and not by big money. So money to me means nothing.
Ms. Montoya, if we can go back and I'll have to go and look at them myself, but I wouldn't really think of YouTube as a place to put your policy plans, because I'm struggling to understand how that works. Are they like 15 minutes where you lay out your plan, or give us an idea what that is?
Yeah, I try to keep them down to at least 6 minutes. If not, the shorter the better, because you could put out your policy within 5 minutes if you have it all together and you have it already all written up and ready to go. And so I know that 10 minutes is like, so I'm trying to make it 6 minutes, so that your span of wanting to listen to it, that it'll appease you. And the thing too is I try to put news clips. I try to put in pictures so that even though I'm talking, you're still watching something that's going on within the whole video. So
I might have to try 6-minute mayoral interviews next time, next election season. Ms. Montoya, what are your top priorities for the city of Santa Fe, and how do you plan to address them if elected?
Housing, homelessness, and a city of Santa Fe raises.
I'm assuming you're talking about affordable housing.
Yes.
So
yes.
How would we increase our affordable housing stock? What is your plan to do that?
Well, okay, so in our affordable housing, we don't have any, and so what the big issue right now is Midtown Campus because it's 64 acres, big parcel of land, and there's a lot that we can do within that. There's a lot that we could do within that development, and the thing about it is like last August, they went to an event and they kind of were talking about Midtown Campus and what they wanted and what kind of development. And, so this has been planned for a long time. And I'll tell you right now, that Midtown Campus is not built for us. It's not built. We're going to be affordable. It's going to be built for, this is where they were talking to us, and they didn't realize that I was there. They were talking about the income level of over 6 figures that they wanted living there. They were talking about the houses being over 700,000. They were talking about apartment complexes, 5-story with parking garages, and they already had it in the general plan. Is that they're putting $22 million into that library. And
you give us your specific proposals for increasing our affordable housing stock in Santa Fe.
Okay, so what I'm going to do with that is on that campus, I want it to be 100% affordable. And the way we get through that, because everybody talks about the developers, is that we give them incentives so that the money that they would have made if it wasn't affordable housing, that they'll get it on the back end, so that it at the end of the day, they're not going to be hurting because they didn't make the money that they wanted to do. So what we need to do is make those all affordable. We could bring them down to at least $300,000 if we follow a set plan that I have. And on top of that we need to keep those affordable for 30 years. So that person owns that house for 30 years, then it takes it out of the affordable billing, as an affordable house. But I like to do with even affordability, we need public housing. So public housing can go in there. We need senior living centers. We do need some high-end houses. Why can't we do a development where we all intergage together? And they do this back east so that you don't know who's rich and you don't know who's poor, because they all have to follow the same guideline when they live in that community with the homeowners? Yeah, HOA, yeah. So then you can't tell. So and doing that, and they're going to put in a library, so the library will be there. We could even go a step further and move City Hall from downtown to Midtown Campus, and it's really Midtown, so it's the access for everybody in our city can go to it, because there's a lot of people that live on the south side, and they've told me that they haven't been down to the plaza in 10, 15 years. And I asked them, what if we move it down to Midtown Campus? They're like, that would make us feel great, because now we're all inclusive with you, and we have affordable housing, we have everything going on showing that we can do it.
Well, I would like to see the plan in detail, because I think offering or trying to sell homes in Santa Fe for $300,000 is would be miraculous almost.
And it's doable. Other cities are doing.
Okay, well, please steer us to where the details of that plan are.
Okay, I will. Okay. I'm working on that. I have it written, so now I just got to put it into a video.
Okay. You said homelessness. How do we tackle our homelessness problems in Santa Fe?
Okay, so the homeless population is Okay, so we have categories of people. You cannot link them all together. So you have within the homeless population, you do have people that have mental problems. You have people that have a drug addiction. We have people that there's some people that just want to be homeless. You have categories of people. And the thing about it is that the only way we're going to solve this problem is, first of all, is that we need to build a tier program. So the tier program that I came up with is I developed it. Me and a friend of ours, we came up with the idea about 8 years ago, and it was for the veterans. And what it is that we do treatment, long-term treatment with, and once they get to a point that they feel that they're ready to come out of that treatment, they go into the next tier. But there's going to be some people that'll never get out of that one tier, but they're not going to be thrown out of the program. They're going to be long-term stay. But the people that do move on to the next program will be where they'll get training. So they're going to get training from the community college. They'll get training from the unions. We'll get them to where they get a trade, or if they want to go to college, and bring them in to work for the city. And when we get to that point, they'll be living in more of a not structural setting, but still we still watch them because they still need help. And as they're ready to go to the final stage would be public housing, not affordable housing, public housing. So we'll put them in the public housing, but we never forget about them. We always remember that they still will need us no matter what happens to them, that we have the resources that they need in order to stay successful. And the way I'd like to implement this is that we already have shelters in place. And I'd like to get rid of the name shelter. We're going to put long-term stay. So where these shelters have already been in those communities, so it's not going to be like a culture shock. Oh my God, not in my backyard. They've already been there. They're showing the community that they're doing very well, is making them and giving them the resources to be long-term and not just some of these shelters give them 3-4 months, but then we throw them back out on the streets again. So we're not really fixing the problem. So if we can have them to where they have long-term stay, they get the treatment, they get the work experience, but we never stop working with them.
In this particular tier, you mentioned the first step would be treatment. How would you get people who are addicted to perhaps drugs or alcohol or some other issue that they're dealing with? How would you get them into treatment in the first place?
Okay, that was asked to me by a homeless person, and he's a friend now. He goes, same thing. He goes, how are you going to get us? And I was like, well, you got to remember, where do you always go? And then I said, think about it. He goes, oh, we're always in jail. I said, yes. But when you come out of jail, you're going to be coming to me into our program. He goes, smart lady. And I was like, yeah. But I said, also the people that are ODing, I said, they come out and the next day they're right back on the drug. So as they come out of even the hospital, they'll go into the treatment center. And they tell me that that would be the wisest thing for them, because they won't go into the program like there'll be some that will want to come into our program, but the way we're going to get them is by them coming out of those two different entities and showing them there's another way for you guys. And pretty much he was pretty impressed, and he said, thank you for telling me that. He goes, and yes, if I do come out of jail, I'll go into your program.
But in all reality, how many people do you think would really voluntarily do that?
Well, you got to remember, look at the shelters right now. Look at all the people that do use them. So this was just a benefit them. So these people are already using the shelters to begin with. So we'll already have a jump start because they've already built the trust within those shelters, like LifeLink, the women's shelter. So there's already a trust within some with these organizations with the homeless population.
And where specifically would they receive treatment? Because treatment is not necessarily readily available.
Well, that's the thing, is that we'd have to build it into their program. Or another option is I talked to the
And I'm
community.
sorry, the city of Santa Fe would fund those efforts?
Well, okay, yes, because we could go after the opiate money. We could go after the marijuana taxes that they tax on the marijuana, because no one's tapped into those, and we could use those for mental health. I mean, so the resources are there, but no one's really looking beyond the picture. Is like the money's there, but let's just tap into that money, and let's just. And then I talked to the community college about this idea, and they told me, we have the land, we have the resources, why don't we try something on our property? And I was like, I said, when I'm mayor, I'm going to be knocking on your door and I'm going to say, I'm here. Let's start. Day one.
Okay. I want to move on to the other priority area that you mentioned, which was, if I heard you correctly, it was raises for city employees.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I would like in my first 2 years raise city employees 30%. And what we're going to do is top heavy, cutting it, putting that to the bottom, fixing where they waste money on different things that they should not be doing, is like paper. There's different ways, and I could tell you that from owning a company, I see that when I go into a contract and I watch to see how much is being wasted. And let me tell you, there's a lot of waste. If we could cut down on that waste, and we can cut down, if we bring in the contracts to be internally, like our contracts that we have for like my shopping carts or someone picking up the landscapers, and seeing how we could get rid of the big prime companies and bring in mom and pop, because they're not going to be as expensive. If we do that cuts, then we have the resources and the funds to lift up raises 30%. And national in the national level is about $20 to $35 that people are getting, but we're not. We can't even approve $17 because $17 is a lot right now in our economy for a small company or a business to like really take that hit. But we could hit the box cart companies. So we could tell Walmart, Target, Albertsons, you guys are increasing your wages. And we implement, as we start getting our mom and pop companies understanding how to do city contracts, getting them to bid for the contracts, getting them to land a contract, that won't be an issue no more, because they build that cost into their contract, which means that if they want to pay their employee $20, they build that into the contract, and so they'll be meeting the living wages and not be struggling.
Ms. Montoya, 30% raises, my goodness, that sounds fantastic. And I'm sure there are folks that are deserving of those raises. But I don't understand where you would get the money to do that. I mean, I would imagine through some efficiencies that you would be able to find some savings. But I mean, what would a plan like that even cost? I don't remember the number of employees at the city these days, but what would be the annual cost of giving every employee a 30% raise?
Well, you're looking at every in 2 years. Well, they don't even give them 3%. They don't even give them the FICA. And so, but on top of that, why can they give like the top administrative people 8%?
But Ms. Montoya, what would be the cost of your plan and how would you pay for it?
Okay, the way we're going to pay for it is that we have what I'd like to do too is I'd like to see how we could change like lodgers tax. If I take that, we could change lodgers tax. There's so many different resources that we could tap into.
Suggesting raising taxes?
No, you could just the lodgers tax. Do you know we get, like last year we got $17 million in lodgers tax, and you know how much we put into our city, besides almost all of it going to advertisement. So a lot of these, like, that's dealing with the roads. It's dealing with the roads. We have to deal with them. We have to fix them. That lodgers tax can go into those budgets. And at that point, then those budgets can readjust, and then we can increase the pay at least $25. Because I'll tell you right now, the average person in the city that I saw is making about $18 an hour, $18.99. So to bring it up to $25 is nothing. I mean, so if you look at it adding up, if you're gonna raise it, let's raise it. We're gonna raise it the first year 8%. 8% for the first 2 years. And at that point, then we'll see where we're at. And what we need to do is, like I said, is we cut down costs within in our city government. And we do is we can readjust some of these like lodgers tax. We have I'd like to implement second home taxes, because we have a lot of second, third, fourth homes here that they're only here just a few months out of the year. Is that we start taxing them on that, because if they could live somewhere else, that means that they're either renting that house, or they can afford to give us a 2% tax on their rental. And those will, like, because we have short-term rentals. Short-term rentals is another issue, is that we have people that are doing it illegally, and we're not even abiding by the laws, that we're not penalizing them. That those resources, there's funds coming in, that if we start buckling down on that. I'll tell you another loss that we're having. We have one lady that does the business license for the city of Santa Fe, 85,000. She does not even know how many people have an active or inactive city license. So that's another income that we're losing. So I mean, if we go once we go in there, we have to do complete audits of every division and see where we're losing a lot of that money. A lot of that money that we're losing, we could put that into wages.
Okay.
So
Last time I'll ask this question and then we can move on. How much would your plan cost to give employees 30% raises?
I'm looking at $500,000. If you think about it, I'm just saying, I'm going to throw that out.
But you don't have any.
I don't have the exact numbers, but I could get you the numbers. It's on my, sorry about that. I didn't know you were going to ask me that question, but
That's okay. Well, let's move on. So the mayor's race isn't the only thing that's on the ballot this November. City voters will also decide whether to restrict the mayor's voting power and if the council should have more power to fire top employees, including the city manager. Are you on board with those, how do you plan to vote on those proposed constitutional amendments?
I'm voting for it. I think it's a wise decision. I think city councilors need to have more power, because they represent their districts and they know what their districts want. And so I think it's time to give it back to the city councilors to help make the decision on who they feel would be the best city manager, the best city attorney, and the best city clerk.
Ms. Montoya, I've asked all the mayoral candidates about the obelisk. What is your stance on what the future of the obelisk should be?
I feel that the obelisk needs to go back up, and it just needs to be. We got to understand that that's a portion of history that we cannot never forget. And what that obelisk means is that back when the Glorieta battle happened, it was the Buffalo Soldiers that came in to help us how would you win that war, because otherwise we would have been a Confederate state. So that monument has history to what is meant for this portion of our state. And the thing about it is that we always got to remember, we cannot erase history. If we erase history, we can repeat it. So this is something, and I know that it's caused a big, it's been a big issue for a lot of people, but look how long it's been dragging on, 5 years. And look at the cost that it's been costing the citizens of this city, because we haven't come up with an answer. And that's the biggest problem that I'm seeing in our city, is that when we cannot just be honest, tell me the truth. You want it or don't want it. But the thing is that at the end of the day, look how much money we put into that obelisk, that we could use it on raises. So think about that. We're just talking about raises. We've been spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on an obelisk, when those funds could go into increasing wages for our employees. So like I say, it's mismanagement, overspending on things that are not important to us. And the obelisk is important to some people in this city. And I feel as like, put it back and leave it alone, and come back in another generation and see what you can do at that time.
The real rub here, and what has caused the hurt feelings, is the inscription that said "Savage Indians," even though that was at one point chiseled off. How do you propose that we deal with that controversial and, for some people, very hurtful inscription?
Yeah, I'm Indian. I'm Native American, and that was, you know, I saw it and I know that I was offended by it, but they took it off, so I was okay. But the thing about it is that we allowed a group, the three sisters, to come into our city to start this process. And the thing about it, where are they? They came in, they destroyed it, and they left. And the whole point is that they caused a big division within our city now, where people are fighting over an obelisk. Really, we have bigger issues to tackle right now. We have the homeless population. We don't have rent control. We don't have affordable housing. We have people that are even telling me that they're so afraid of, like, they're having problems buying food. But we're so fixated on that obelisk. Just leave it alone. Build it and leave it alone, and just move on to what's really important for our city. And our city is like, we have too much that we need to work on right now.
Okay. Well, Ms. Montoya, on that note, how would you, let's close off with your sort of closing message to voters, especially, again, as I mentioned earlier, early voting already underway. What's your message, your final message to voters?
Okay, everybody. You know what? I started this race 4 years ago. I did not know I was going to be here today running for mayor. All I saw was problems going on in my city, understanding the problems. I understand what a problem is because I filed Chapter 13. I almost lost everything I had. And sure, that might be something that you might be like concerned with me, but don't be concerned about that, because I understand what the struggles are. And I know that I can fix the things that I'm telling you right now. And the thing about it is, we need somebody that's going to do it. No more lip service. And that is one reason why I tell them, we've had people that have done there, been there, are there. And what do we see that's happening for us? We need somebody that has experience on the ground, working outside, inside city government. I can say that I don't have a job working for the government, but that's not what the whole point about it. That's a different entity than our city. Our city government is ran totally different, and you have to understand the water issues. You have to understand the wastewater treatment. And I'll tell you, the wastewater treatment is easy to fix. I know I've done a tour there. I mean, so every single problem that people are talking about, it's easy to fix. So the reason I'm running is I'm done with the lip service. And you know what? I'll let everybody know. I did have I'm clean and sober for 5 years. And I always tell everybody that I found God in my heart, and He's led me to this vision and to this walk that I'm doing right now. And if I would have not hit the bottom of the barrel and built my way back up, I would not be running today, because I would be living the fast, beautiful life that I had before. I became humble, and I understand what my roots are. I understand my needs to how I'm going to help people, because people ask me every day, what are you going to do for me? And by the time I'm done talking to them, they know that I'm there for them, because I've lived the struggle. I am one of them. I am somebody that knows how to do and how to live and how to understand that if we don't fix our city today, we may not have a city. And I'm the only one out of all of them that I'll tell you that the last 4 years I've been working with my boots on the ground, understanding the problems, listening to people, and now I know how to do it.
All right, Ms. Montoya. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And as I've told all the candidates, buena suerte, good luck on the campaign trail. And thank you to our viewers and listeners for tuning into Around the Roundhouse. Join us every week as we talk to newsmakers in the political realm by subscribing to our podcast through Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. For the latest developments, follow our coverage online at santafenewmexican.com, where you can also subscribe to our political newsletter, the Roundhouse Report, as well as find all our past election coverage and ongoing election coverage, including our previous interviews with the other mayoral candidates, as well as recordings of mayoral and city council forums, and tons of other useful material for voters. Until next time, I'm Daniel Chacon, and this has been Around the Roundhouse.